Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome back after your first sessional exams. I hope you guys enjoyed the exam. Did you? No? Okay. And why did you not enjoy it?
Sir, वो उसका जो format था, it was really different from what we had.
It was different, but it was not difficult, was it?
That difficult.
Tamur? It wasn't difficult, लेकिन हुआ भी नहीं.
Sir, थोड़ा shocking था, but जब shock से निकले तो समझ आ गया.
Okay, good. Yeah, before we move to our second sessional syllabus, and inshallah we'll cruise through it this time, it's firstly, let's acknowledge the heroes of first sessionals. Would Sara Batul, Marine Tariq, Shahira and Javeria. Alright, here last lecture was about the types and forms of innovation, if you could recall. Do I have your attention? Okay. We tried to distinguish various forms of innovation, and could you please help me? What were the forms?
Product innovation.
Product innovation, and what is that?
Sir, keeping up with the new products.
Coming up with new features in the products, right? Any examples?
New
New models of the phones, enhanced models of the usual products that we tend to utilize. Then the other one was service innovation, and what's that?
Sir, service change होना, for example, from
Two kinds of service innovation. One was the businesses that are already existing, and we try to upgrade them by introducing new services or starting delivering services in a new manner. Ryan Airways का हम लोगों ने जिक्र किया था, and we also discussed about that insurance company as well, a talk director, if I can recall it correctly. Then we also mentioned that through service innovation, new businesses have been introduced from scratch. Example, lastminute.com. Did anyone really visit that website or not? Try it. इसके अलावा जी eBay, good. Process innovation. The least invisible form of innovation that the normal consumer doesn't interact with, but it can have the maximum impact.
Manufacturing cars like
Sorry?
cars.
Yeah, the conveyor belt, introduction of the conveyor belt in the production facility. उसकी मैंने आपको एक और example भी दी थी, that was regarding the bouquets. Did I tell you that or not? No? In London, when I was short of cash and I was looking for some work, so someone called me up and I was all up for it. So I was taken to this far-flung factory जहाँ पे bouquets बनते थे, and it had the same conveyor belt production kind of system. You can say around 20 meters long conveyor belts. So the first person was supposed to just keep opening the wrappers. The second person would put the first 3 big leaves that come in the background. And as the conveyor belt would move forward, each person would introduce or put down the kind of flowers that he was assigned. And by the end of the conveyor belt, you would have a full-fledged bouquet that were ready to be shipped. And it was so efficient that in 12-hour shift, apart from that lunch of 1 hour and 15 minutes tea break, it didn't stop at all. So you imagine the capacity with which they are producing, and compare it with the flower shops that we have in supermarket and Jinnah Super. I mean, they cannot even think of matching the production capacity that they are enjoying because of the introduction of process innovation. Do we have any other example for process innovation? No? Through tin coating, he was able to reduce the rework in the glass manufacturing process, and it drastically reduced the price, or rather the cost of the glass, through which it became much cheaper as a commodity to be used in building and architecture. Then we moved on and we talked about system innovation and components. What is a system?
Made up of components with different.
System is basically composed of components, and when the components work in a certain manner, they tend to come up with the output that we look for. इसके बाद जी four types of innovation. Radical, example,
Sir, television, car.
right? Components क्या हैं इसके जी? Features क्या हैं?
Sir, इसमें ये है कि आप
New system,
New components.
new components. Incremental,
New components, same system.
existing system but with improvised components. Modular, in an existing system you tend to add a new module altogether and it becomes a new comprehensive product or service. And architectural, whereby
the components are the same but the system has changed.
it has changed. Movement from the big desktops to laptops and tabs. Same products, but the components have been changed in a way in which they have been maneuvered a bit, made smaller a bit, and now we have altogether more smart machines that we are utilizing. Our today's agenda is to understand or get a view of patents. How do we go for getting patents? What are the benefits that we can draw by obtaining patents? Do we all know what patents are? No?
Registering your product or idea.
Trademarks and copyrights. Now, we have been talking about creativity and innovation for so much time. Let's assume that yes, now we are capable of thinking of new ideas which can be translated into new products or new services. But the question is, even by thinking something new, can you really protect it? Or can you keep the other competition from copying it? Now just imagine two different organizations. One that is employing its resources, it is letting its human resource sit together, it's letting its lab to be used for research and development, compared to another firm that actually does not have any R&D facility. So with first firm that is working on R&D and they come up with new ideas and new products and they introduce it in the market, and after 2 weeks the other firm simply copies those ideas. There is hardly any incentive left if this is the scenario. For how long you can keep doing the R&D if the whole effort is simply replicated by your competition? For that, we have got an institution that is called intellectual property rights. Even if you have an idea and if you do not have investment, so there is an institution whereby you go from the angel investors, you share your idea, ask them to invest, and if they are confident about your idea, they may ask you to run the business for them and they can provide you all the money. But again, they want to see first of all if your product is unique enough and it targets a particular market segment whose needs have already not been satisfied. And with the introduction of your product or service, the needs of that segment are taken care of. Secondly, the stockholders or even the investors, they will challenge a corporation's investment in its resources in a program that can be easily copied once it is introduced in the market. If the copying is easy, that can go to waste, which indirectly you are basically facilitating others. However, there are a few exceptions. There are certain institutions in which the government, or even it could be the private sector, they pump in money in R&D for the greater welfare of the society. For instance, NARC, whatever research they are doing, their main objective is to come up with smarter crops, right, which are disease resistant to the extent possible, which can grow with as little water as possible maybe, or they could be aiming for highest level of yield, whatever is possible. Now, any RC, whatever they come up with, the government would like that output of research to be spread across the country so that all common farmers can take advantage of it. The private firms may not necessarily have this kind of objectives. They would rather like to capitalize on such innovations. They would like to charge a higher price on the seed if they are introducing that to the market. I guess it was in 1960s when one of your bioscientists, he came up with this brilliant variant of wheat, and the yield was doubled or tripled, I cannot recall it accurately, and it literally revolutionized the production of wheat throughout the world. Right? Now that kind of R&D is usually funded by whom? The government. Or it could be funded by United Nations or their World Food Program or whatever, right? So what is at risk if your ideas are not protected? All the time, and this time may span from weeks to years. Efforts, money people invest in perfecting a product. You may come up with a prototype, redo it, re-examine it, get feedback from the customer and keep trying to improve it until you get to a perfect form where it is introducible to the market. As well as advertising and promoting it may get wasted if the imitators can easily get in the market. Secondly, imitators can cut price. How can they do that? Because they have not invested a penny in R&D. And another incentive for them could be that they would like to come up with an inferior version of the product that you are selling. So all the effort that you have put in to make the customer aware of your product, yes, we have come up with this something new, and these are the needs that it is going to cater. You do all the turnkey work of marketing and promoting it, and the imitator simply comes and starts producing a low-cost version of it without having to put effort in marketing or R&D. All he has done is just come up with some inferior materials through which he has tried to cut costs. Or it could be even the packaging, reduced or weak packaging could even help him lower the cost. Imitators can cut price because they do not have incurred the startup expenses the company had to endure to bring the idea from conception to mass producible, reliable and appealing product or service that has been introduced in the market. So what is patent? Patent is basically an official document recognized by law that confers a right or a title, especially the sole right to do what? If I get a patent, I have the right to make, use or sell some invention or process, hence protecting the said invention or process. So if I consider my idea to be novel enough, unique enough, and if I qualify for a patent, and if I get a patent, no one can make, use or sell invention without my consent or approval. So there are various examples. Chemical inventions could include new compounds, new methods of making old or new compounds, new method of using old or new compounds, or new combinations of old compounds. In mechanical dimension, it would include everything from new gears, engines, tweezers, and propellers. In electric inventions, you may have lasers. These are merely examples. So whatever comes under that domain, and if it is unique enough, it could be patentable. Computer softwares are also patentable. Not all of them, but let's say if there is a computer software that has been specifically written or coded to run a power plant, that could be patented. Otherwise, the usual software that is written or coded, it is copyrighted, that we are going to discuss later. Now, these are few observations regarding the patents. There is no particular rule that the patents cover only remarkable products. We tend to give typical examples which are kind of close to radical innovation. But it is not just the radical innovation that can be only patented. The idea needs to be different in some way from what is already existing, and idea needs to be novel and not obvious. Novelty, that's the basis for the application of patent. Here the usual screwdriver that we tend to use, that single blade one, right? It was initially invented and it worked very well. Everywhere the screws were being used and the screwdriver was being used to fix those screws or unscrew them. Okay, in engines particularly, when the screws were to be screwed in depth, the grip of this single blade was not working well. Someone came up with this idea that if we could make it the Phillips screwdriver, it could increase the grip of the screwdriver on the screw. It was not obvious at that time, but somebody thought it, and it was considered as a novelty. ठीक है, बात समझ आ रही है? Now, even with longer length of screwdrivers, it was firm enough to fix the screws. But now, we already know that if you increase the number of blades, it would end up in increasing the grip of the screwdriver in the screws. Now, if I go and ask, मुझे give me a patent जिसमें 6 blades वाला screwdriver that I want to be patented in my name, no. Why? Because it is now obvious. ठीक है जी? Another thing, that whatever you are going to get patented, if it has been mentioned in very explicit way in any research periodical or in any newspaper or in any publication anywhere in the world, you won't qualify for the patent. Even if you get the patent, so what are the steps to get a patent? First of all, establish invention's novelty. Everyone likes to consider his invention as creative and novel, but the best way to do it is with the consultancy of a lawyer who specializes in intellectual property. Right? I may consider this as a novel product, but according to the rules of law, if it is novel or not, it would be the lawyer who can advise you better. Another very important step is documenting the device. What does come to your mind when I say document the device? Okay, diagrams or how it was made. Yeah, documenting the device is a very important step, particularly in the case if the other parties come litigating against you. How can we document the device? It could be a video recording of your gossip. Yeah, today we are sitting in this cafe and this is the idea that we have discussed. And you upload it in a secret, you do not make it public. Right? So the date of upload will be there, so one reference is there. I actually got a chance to attend someone's presentation in Scotland, and he was into these kind of patent applications. He came up with a very simple solution. What he suggested was, whatever diagrams you draw, whatever materials that you buy to make the product prototype, whatever documentation you do in order to make that thing happen, what you do is you take a bundle every week or every month, depending upon the volume of documentation that you're making, and you send it through registered post in a self-addressed envelope. So let's say I've got 10 receipts, 5 diagrams, I put it in an envelope and post it in through registered mail. When you get a mail registered, so basically your journal post office will have the record. When you receive the letter, it's recommended that out of excitement you need not to open it. What you have to do is, with the stamps of the GPO on it or the post office on it, go and put it in a locker, your bank locker. And just in case if tomorrow or the next year, if someone comes up claiming for the IDM, you can go for that very filmy scene. Judge Saab, before you pass your judgment, give me a chance. Send any representative of your worthy court with me, and I have some evidence. So he can go with you, you open your locker with sealed envelopes, with original receipts in physical form, and it could be a very substantive evidence against the other person. If you are unable to produce such kind of documents and he comes up with something fictitious, your whole effort could go waste. You then search existing patents. It's a process that has become a lot easier these days. You can go online and look for the keywords, and you find the closest inventions that have been already patented. And again, you would search, study the research results and re-establish, just in case, the novelty in consultation with whom? Your lawyer. You submit the patent application and they would consider it, and in due time you will be issued with the patent. So what are the journal contents? A full description of the invention, the method by which it is to be performed. It must end up with a claim defining the scope of invention. It should include an abstract, should not be more than 2 pages, and must include the entire technical details relating to the invention. Drawings may also be submitted along with the abstract, either at application will or controller's request. Even if you do not provide them, the controller may ask you to submit the diagrams. So what are the benefits if we go for this patent application? Firstly, a patent gives you the inventor the right to stop others from manufacturing, copying, selling, or importing the patented goods without the permission of the patent holder. So if you are holding a patent for a particular product, let's say in Pakistan, by law, no one else is permitted to deal in that product commercially without your consent. The patent holder has exclusive commercial rights to use the invention. The patent holder can utilize the invention for his or her own purpose. He's not bound to use it publicly or make it available for everyone else to use. So if it is some high-tech firm and they come up with some new material, and if they get patent on it, they can exclusively use that material for themselves only for next 20 years. And just imagine the kind of edge that they get by doing this thing. And now this is the best part. The patent holder can license the patent to others for us. Licensing provides the revenues to the business by collecting royalties from others' uses. Taimur, a very creative guy from Biosciences Department of ComStats Islamabad, so he comes up with a very novel idea. But unfortunately, Taimur may not be carrying that much of cash at that moment to commercially manufacture the product and retail it. But if he holds the patent, he can ask the other manufacturers to manufacture that product and sell it, while giving him a portion of their revenues. And that would be decided upon the quality of patent or the quality of the price of the product or the cost of the product. So there will be various variables that will be considered before that commitment is made. Now again, if he is not interested in the long stream of income, you can simply sell it to someone else. If you hold a patent and you can simply go to someone else, ask for a good lump sum amount, and you can transfer the ownership of that patent. The patent provides protection for 20 years, which keeps your competitors at bay. Patents are partially responsible for advancements in medical sciences, biotechnology, in particular drug chemistry and computers. And patents reward inventors with aforementioned advantages and hence create bigger and better discoveries. Now imagine the scenario without provision of patents. Whatever effort is being put in R&D, gone waste altogether. I know someone, he's a solicitor, and he told me once that his friend who works for Siemens, Germany, they tend to file patent applications every single day. Every single day. So their R&D is working, but it's not necessary that all of the inventions or all of the new ideas they're coming up with, they will get used there and then. But by getting the patent, they ensure that the competition at least does not get hold of that product for next 20 years. Cases G in which patents will not be granted if your product is injurious to public order, mortality, environment, or protection of human, animal, and plant life. For plant and animals other than microorganism, where do you get your microorganisms registered? For diagnostic, surgical methods, or for the treatment of humans and animals, for new and consequent use of known products, if it is again obviousness wala issue hai, for a change in the physical appearance of a chemical product where the chemical formula or process of the manufacture remains the same. The other dimension in intellectual property is trademark. Symbol. Any distinctive word, symbol, design, name, logo, slogan, or trade dress a company uses to identify origin of a product or to distinguish it from other goods on the market. Here, whenever we go to McDonald's, and whichever McDonald's we go to, you get to see similar furniture, similar colors. You go to KFC, again, a certain kind of environment, ambience, colors, furniture. How about HFC? Highly fried chicken or halal fried chicken? Highly fried chicken? They are not that keen towards the trademark thing. Service mark G, the same as the trademark except that it identifies the source of a service. For instance, Zong ki example le lein. Zong does not sell products, rather it sells you service. Trademark may be more valuable to some companies than patents. Take a guess. The most renowned brand in the world. Apple? G. Disney? Microsoft? Coca-Cola. The most renowned brand in the world is Coca-Cola. And imagine that if some entity wishes to buy Coca-Cola, put aside the physical assets or the factories or the bottles or whatever. Imagine the value of brand of Coca-Cola. The right to use that font. The value of that trademark. That's how valuable it can be. Even in small businesses, when you sell your businesses, two components. One is the physical assets. Ben & Jerry's, again, a very well-renowned brand in ice cream industry. Trademarks do not protect products. How do we protect our products? थ्रू पेटेंट्स. ट्रेडमार्क अगर आपने ले लिया है, इट डजंट मीन कि आप दूसरों को वो प्रोडक्ट बनाने से रोक सकते हैं. Yes, you will have the right to stop others from using that name with which you are selling that product.
Variants of Pepsi and Coca-Cola like Gourmet, we don't have that brand name. So trademark example है.
Come again.
So Coca-Cola जैसे और बाकी brands भी बनाते हैं Gourmet के नाम से, it's the same thing, the same carbonated drink, but
It's the same carbonated drink, लेकिन I really doubt.
don't have patent or
First of all, Coca-Cola is now years old, centuries old now, rather. The patent gives you protection for 20 years only. Once that 20 years lapse, anyone can use that formula, firstly. But again, Coca-Cola still has some chemical components that it does not make public. I can give you example of another drink, Iron Brew. This is the drink Scotland survives upon. From their kids to the dying old man. Unless they take this every day, they won't survive. That's how addicted they are. I did an assignment on this company, and they again have this secret formula ingredient that is at any point of time known to only 2 individuals in the world. Even their product formula team does not know exactly what they give. They made sure that thing is, the formula is available with 2 different things, the 2 different individuals. Right जी, trademark के साथ जो challenge है, it should be prevented from becoming a generic name. जरा जाके यार बोनस का सर्फ ले आओ. It's basically a detergent. लेकिन surf became so popular that usually people won't remember कि यार it's a brand name rather than a name of a category. Aspirin, Zip itself, Zipper, it's a brand name. Now we use it as a generic name for that particular product. Same has happened with Google. Now rather than saying, okay, go online and go to google.com and search this term, Google it. That's how the brands become generic. Benefits जी. Firstly, you can use registered trademarks as brand name for goods and services specified in the registration. Very obvious. You can also authorize other people to use registered trademarks for the goods and services specified in the registration. So if you have got a trademark and you want to expand your market in another country, for instance, but you do not want to commit your financial assets there and do not want to have that manufacturing facility. So what you can do is you let another factory guy who is already there with existing infrastructure, and you let him use your brand name, but after confirming that he would adhere to the standards that you are maintaining in your home country. But for using that brand name, he is going to pay you a certain premium depending upon the sales that he generates. Again, like patents, trademarks are personal properties and they can also be sold. So it is quite possible that you can retain the business and you can only sell the trademark. You may also give a notice objecting to the importation of the goods that infringe your registered trademark. It can help you to be in a stronger position to stop other people using your trademark as their brand name. The third dimension is copyrights. Copyrights are an exclusive right that protects the creator of original works of authorship. And what does get protected by copyrights? It would include, and not limited to, novels, poems, plays, reference work, newspapers, computer programs, databases, films, musical composition, choreography, paintings, drawings, photographs, sculpture, architecture, advertisements, maps, and technical drawings. And it is denoted by C in a circle. You can sell your copyright, you can license your copyright to be used by other and while retaining the ownership. Example, Getty Images, Getty, Getty.
The water.
Every other website that you visit, it may carry an image, it could be any random image. What Getty Images does is, it has actually collected lots and lots of variety of images. And if you wish to use those images, you pay them a certain fee and they allow you to use that image from their repository. And on basis of copyright, they are able to make money. Another thing, example for instance could be, if an artist allows his song to be performed in a particular function, he can ask for money for it, some monetary benefit against the usage of his work. Or the author would get a premium on whatever of his work is being sold. Before we head for the case study, what time is it, by the way? The accurate one. 4:45. Okay. Here, entrepreneurs, what was that? Individuals who want to make money, who want to make profit. Now, being creative and being innovative is a good thing, and having a patent in your title is brilliant. But what if you introduced a product and you are now dealing with 5 imitators? What could be the best strategy? Litigate them? They are not allowed to do this. But one question. While we defined entrepreneur, we never said that he is going to be a person who wants to make profit and wants to be in Adalat all the time. So this is the trade-off that the entrepreneur has to do. Whether he wishes to focus his energy on his business or he wants to put resources in pockets of his lawyers. So depending upon the value of that patent, he has to come up with a strategy. Now if Apple goes for litigation wars, which are very expensive by the way, and they're very long wars. Now big corporations do have this financial muscle where they can, go for these kind of ventures. But particularly someone who is running an SME, for him going to these litigation wars may not be the best strategy. What are the options available with him? Sorry?
Good level with them, so
How?
barter.
Here your competition would usually come up with either a premium version of your product or an inferior version of your product. So if you already know that this is going to happen, why not introduce 3 different versions and the 3 different brand names? So the X brand, the expensive one, deals with the high end of the market. The Y brand with the mediocre segment, and the Z brand with the segment who are cash starving. Example, Careem. Imagine Careem being just an exclusive limousine service. So there could have been a margin for others to introduce Mehrans there or FXs there. But what they did, that they actually introduced various segments right at the point of their inception and kept expanding it. And they did not leave any segment untapped. And any competitor that wishes to come to this market, he is going to have a very tough time establishing himself. How?
Because everything's already there.
It's already there. So this is something that even the entrepreneurs can do it, that with their patented products, they can come up with variants so that they can overall try to target as much segments as possible. But the best strategy could be to sell those 3 different products with 3 different brand names. If you use the same brand name, people will struggle with identification of the quality of your product. Clear, Ji? Okay, now here is a case study with few questions. Oops. You have 15 minutes to go through it and come up with answers. And I can ask anyone to come and present. Thank you very much, Ji. That's all for today. Cheers.